Hello again. Welcome back. My name continues to be David, and these are the Turtle Talks, companion to my book, The Turtle Book, on Amazon. You can find it there if that is your taste. So the last time that we had a little visit, we talked about how you kind of have to be a grown-up to be able to get the most out of your path of self-discovery. Right? That you can't pretend not to know the things that you really know. And the corollary to that would be, of course, you can't pretend to know the things that you actually don't know, which, again, is sort of the point of what we've been talking about for the first few episodes of this, how to sort of rediscover the world around you. And even if it makes you a little bit uncomfortable, that it's important to accept that things on a deeper level are not necessarily the way that they appear on the surface. There is no question that some of this thinking would be considered to be out of the box. And that's not just out of the box for you. If you remember a couple episodes ago, I talked about this entanglement thing, where in science they've discovered that if you have two particles and you change something about one of them, then a different particle simultaneously changes at the same time, and that is true no matter how far apart the particles are. And that, according to Albert Einstein, you can't have faster than light communications, and so that implied some underlying connection with everything in the universe that we can't see. So just so that you understand how weird this is, Albert Einstein understood entanglement, that it existed, and he called it spooky. He called it spooky action at a distance. So here is the guy who came up with some of the most important fundamental scientific ideas that we have that drive our modern society, including, by the way, that weird stuff about time that I also talked about. Oh, Einstein had no problem with that. In fact, it's the foundation of what he calls the theory of relativity, which is, again, one of the most important scientific theories we have driving our modern world. So he had no problem with the idea that time was different no matter, depending on where you were exactly relative to, in this case, gravity, which is why time goes faster at the top of a tall building than it does in the basement of a tall building, because the basement of the tall building is closer to the center of the Earth, which is the center of Earth's gravity. Einstein had no problem with that, but with entanglement, that was too woo-woo for him, right? So here's the smartest person in our modern time, as far as we know, and he, based on his way of thinking, could not mentally process the idea of entanglement, even though it existed, to the point where Albert Einstein, scientist of scientists, called something that exists in our universe that he knows about, and he called it spooky. What does that mean? Well, again, it relates back to what I said earlier about his understanding of the universe and the way that it worked, and what its parts were, what the composition was of his point of view, how he had learned to see the universe and process information, and gravity and time, that was okay. Entanglement was spooky. To quote the great philosopher Yoda, that means we have to unlearn what we have learned. That even Einstein, in order to be able to see the true nature of the entire natural universe, was going to have to rethink how he thought about things. That's difficult and challenging, but it's also as simple as changing your point of view. Now remember, we've talked about this already in terms of if you are a being of light and consciousness and you process everything through your point of view, something we're going to talk about in detail in the next episode. If you process through your point of view, then changing your point of view is the most powerful thing that you can do to change your understanding of reality. So again, don't underestimate how important this might be to you, to your understanding, to wisdom, that you relearn this stuff, right? That you're really talking about a fundamental shift, right? We're talking about taking something that is a part of your segmented belief system. You feel this way about politics, you feel this way about family, you feel this way about the nature of the universe, you feel this way about whatever your religious beliefs are, etc., etc. So what we're actually talking about doing here is taking one of those chunks, something called belief, religious belief, spiritual belief. We're talking about taking that out of your wheel and flipping your entire universe and having that be the foundation of things. It's no longer that you have a belief about a particular religious philosophy. You now operate on the principle that you're a spiritual being, a being of light and consciousness, that this, your body, does not define who you are, and therefore the physical world that you see doesn't define your experience. So how can you, with this new knowledge, seeing yourself as a spiritual being, having a human experience, not a human being having a spiritual one, right? That you're a being of light and consciousness, and that for some reason that we'll get into again as we continue, but you are here in this place having this sort of dual-sided experience with your physical body, but that, according to your Pascal's wager, you continue on after you die. That means right now you are still in this place, a being of light and consciousness, and that everything else that happens around you takes place with that context. That is a completely different fundamental way of looking at the universe, and the positive consequences of that will cascade all throughout your life. We will talk about that stuff as we go forward in the future. Have yourself a great day. Keep a positive point of view. Keep your mind open. And remember, unlearn what you have learned. Aloha.